Gamers, these new rolls for the Into the Light weapons are looking pretty good. Some of them I honestly think are going to power creep other options in the game currently, especially since they will be able to be enhanced in the final shape, which is pretty nice, making their value even better. Now before we get into the video, I want to say I'm streaming on Twitch 3 days a week now, starting at 1 PM EST on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, so if you'd like to come by and support your boy, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Now, let's get into these rolls. So, all 12 of the weapons farmable in Into the Light are going to have a brand new origin trait called Indomitability. I hope I said that right. Which gives grenade energy on kills while using a light subclass, and then melee energy on kills while using a dark subclass. Which we will have to see how much those gains really are, but regardless, it sounds to be one of, if not the best origin trait in the entire game, giving you free demo or pugilist, which is huge for workhorse weapons like primaries or specials. So, starting off with arguably one of the strongest weapons in the game already, we have Forbearance, which is now dropping in the third column with Unrelenting, Stats for All, Demolitionist, Ambitious Assassin, Surplus, Steady Hands, and Disruption Break. For the fourth column, it's getting Wellspring, Golden Tricorn, One for All, Bait and Switch, Chain Reaction, Rampage, and a new perk called Desperate Measures. Personally, I think the best roll to go for will still be the same Ambitious plus Chain Reaction, since that combo makes this weapon a monster for ad clear and all content. Plus with the new origin trait, you're basically getting a free third trait and having a mini demo. Now, the next one is Succession, which in the third column can now roll Moving Target, No Distractions, Lead from Gold, Reconstruction, Firmly Planted, Demo, and then Discord. And for the fourth column, Snapshot Sights, Redirection, Recombination, Vorpal Weapon, Focus Fury, Firing Line, Box Breathing, and then the new perk Desperate Measures. The rolls I'd recommend are going to be Reconstruction for the first trait, and any of the damage options being Recombination, Vorpal, Focus Fury, or Firing Line. I think all of them are great, Firing Line being the highest sustained damage potential but requires allies to be nearby, Recombination to do burst damage against something like a champion, Focused Fury for an easy 20% damage buff, and then Vorpal because it's 15% to bosses and it just works with no BS required. You can even change out Reconstruction from Lead for Gold if you wanted to use this for GMs in combo with Recombination. It's a pretty good roll to have, and I know some of my friends actually really like it. Next is the good old Falling Guillotine, which can get in the third column Vorpal Weapon, Relentless Strikes, Repulsor Brace, Frenzy, Attrition Orbs, Chain Reaction, and then Duelist's Trance, and in the fourth column, Surrounded, Whirlwind Blade, Destabilizing Rounds, Eager Edge, Bait and Switch, Sword Logic, and then Desperate Measures. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, but Vortex swords are pretty meh. I don't know if any of you watched any of Aegis's videos, but he went over the damage numbers, and you're better off just using Bequest or Lament for sword damage. So I'd recommend using this as just kind of an ad clear utility sword. You can combo in things like Chain Reaction and Eager's Edge for both ad clear potential and movement, but still I'd keep your eyes out on a Frenzy Surrounded roll, because I'm interested to see how much damage that roll could put out and maybe if it could make it worthwhile to use a Vortex Frame for damage again. The next one is the pinnacle of all pinnacle weapons ever created, and that is the Recluse. In the third column, it gets Feeding Frenzy, Enlightened Action, Subsistence, Threat Detector, Repulsor Brace, Hipfire Grip, and Dynamic Sway Reduction. And in the fourth column, you have Master of Arms, Target Lock, Frenzy, Destabilizing Rounds, Surrounded, Tap the Trigger, and Desperate Measures. I am so excited to have this bad boy back. It was by far my favorite weapon in D2 history. The role I'm most looking for is probably going to be Repulsor Brace plus Master of Arms for Void Hunter. I think this role is going to be nasty on Gerfalcons, but Feeding Frenzy, Enlightened Action, and even Threat Detector are great options in the third column to choose from, with Destabilizing Rounds, Frenzy, and Surrounded being pretty good options in the fourth column as well too. We will have to wait and see what the Desperate Measures perk will be here in a couple weeks, because that could end up being a really good option as well, for all we know. The next weapon is the second piece of the pinnacle meta loadout of D2 that reigned supreme for a little while, that being Mountaintop. In the third column, it gets Ambitious Assassin, Impulse Amplifier, Demo, Lead from Gold, Slick Draw, Autoloading Holster, and then Overflow. In the fourth, it gets Rampage, Vorpal Weapon, Adrenaline Junkie, One for All, Harmony, Recombination, and then Frenzy. The rolls for this are looking pretty spicy, man. There's so many good options. In the third column, you've got Demo, Impulse Amplifier, Lead from Gold, Overflow, and then Autoloading Holster, which are all great options depending on what you like and, maybe what you're trying to run. And in the fourth column, you got Vorpal, Harmony, Recombination, and Frenzy, which are all really, really good. Personally, I'm most looking for a autoloading plus recombination to use as a quick burst to then swap back to Recluse or whatever primary I'll be using, but I'm going to be trying out loads of rolls since it just has so many good options in each slot that there's going to be tons of different rolls to play around with. Next is the Hammerhead from good old Black Armory. In the third column, it gets Feeding Frenzy, Destabilizing Rounds, Envious Assassin, Rampage, 4th times the Charm, Rewind Rounds, and then Under Over. In the fourth column, it's going to get Surrounded, High Impact Reserves, Target Lock, Onslaught, Killing Tally, Desperate Measures, and then lastly Tap the Trigger. Boys, this one is going to be a beast for ad clear, especially with the roll of Rampage or Rewind Rounds plus Killing Tally or Onslaught. Either of these rolls is what I most want since it'll be insane for ad clear, which is really the whole roll of machine guns. But there are a bunch of other great perks to pick, especially in the third column with things like Rewind, Feeding Frenzy, Destabilizing, whatever you're really looking for. Next up is another classic from Black Armory, and that is Blast Furnace. In the third column, it can roll with Zen Moment, Snapshot, Shoot to Loot, Keep Away, Perpetual Motion, Kinetic Tremors, and then Head Seeker. And in the fourth column, Kill Clip, Firefly, One for All, Frenzy, Rampage, Rapid Hit, and then Desperate Measures. This pulse definitely has a lot more going for it for PvP than PvE in my opinion, but my god, that Kinetic Tremors plus Firefly roll sounds like it could have some pretty good potential for GMs, even though personally I'm not much of a pulse or Kinetic Tremors kind of guy on primaries, but I still think it could be pretty fun. I still can't believe they decided to bring Edge Transit back, but hey, here we are, and they also made it apparently the best grenade launcher in the entire game. So, in the third column, it can get Chain Reaction, Cascade Point, Impulse Amplifier, Field Prep, Ambitious Assassin, Envious Assassin, and Repulsor Brace. And in the fourth, Frenzy, Destabilizing Rounds, Deconstruction, One for All, Bait and Switch, Full Court, and then lastly Explosive Light. Having the ability to roll both Cascade Point plus a damage perk is very interesting to me, but I think the best roll will end up being Envious plus Bait and Switch or Explosive Light, especially after all the recent buffs to GLs. I expect to see this thing be a beast in boss fights, so definitely get a good roll of it. Next is a PvP classic, good old the Luna's Howl. Please Bungie, give us back Not Forgotten. I would love that as well. It can roll in the third column, Eye of the Storm, Subsistence, Discord, Encore, Slide Shot, Enlightened Action, and Heal Clip. And in the fourth, it's going to have Magnificent Howl, Kill Clip, Incandescent, Desperate Measures, Opening Shot, Precision Instrument, and then lastly Harmony. I'm really not sure how the changes to Magnificent Howl are going to be, but for my PvP players, they did not look that good, and I didn't see people saying the nicest things on Twitter about it, but hey, that's Twitter for you. Now for PvE gamers like me, I'm looking at Heal Clip and Incandescent. That roll seems really nice, especially since legendary hand cannons are pretty strong at PvE right now in my opinion. Next is my all-time favorite D2 hand cannon being Midnight Coupe. In the third column, it can get Outlaw, Firefly, Shoot to Loot, Explosive Payload, Moving Target, Attrition Orbs, and Enlightened Action. And in the fourth, Rampage, Kinetic Tremors, Zen Moment, One for All, Frenzy, Opening Shot, and Desperate Measures. I know most people are probably going to look straight at the Firefly plus Kinetic Tremors over everything, but hear me out. Firefly plus Frenzy or Rampage could be nasty, especially since getting multiple kills from Firefly Explosion would give you multiple stacks to Rampage, and then also Frenzy just gives you free 15% damage, plus 100 handling and 100 to load speed, which is really nice to have. Okay, this one seemed a little odd to me, I can't lie. I don't know, it just feels like this weapon's returned with new rolls like 3 times already. I don't know if that's right, but it just feels like it. But hey, I guess people like Hung Jury for some reason. So in the third column, it can get Rewind Rounds, Enlightened Action, Kinetic Tremors, Rapid Hit, Shoot to Loot, No Distractions, and then Loose Change. And in the fourth, you get One for All, Cascade Point, box breathing, Firefly, precision instrument, desperate measures, and then lastly explosive payload. If I'm being honest with you, I don't really have much desire for this weapon at all, but I guess you could do like a kinetic tremors plus Firefly roll for some fun, but at the end of the day, it's just a scout, and yeah, that's all I really need to say. Now last but not least, we have an OG vanilla D1 weapon that most you gamers might not even know. And this is from post-campaign, originally called Stranger's Rifle, but now returned as Elsie's Rifle. In the third column, it can get Feeding Frenzy, Zen Moment, Repulsor Brace, Loose Change, Keep Away, Under Over, and then Rewind rounds, which actually used to be its special perk back in D1. And in the fourth, Adrenaline Junkie, Frenzy, Destabilizing Rounds, Kill Clip, Desperado, Desperate Measures, and then lastly Head Seeker. I'm not much of a pulse lover, so this one isn't even really grabbing me by the nostalgia factor, but it does have good rolls to pick up from both PvE and PvP. As a PvE player, I would look at either Feeding Frenzy or Rewind rounds plus Frenzy or Adrenaline Junkie. I feel like that'd be pretty good. Okay, good lord, that was a lot of info, but hey, I'm really excited to grind some new roles and try out the new activity. After taking a pretty long break from the game, I'm ready to do some degen grinding again. I hope you guys are too. Let me know of any roles you guys are most looking for on some of the new weapons. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.